Story 71, Mother's Love for a Boy. In the quiet town of Serenityville, there lived a young boy named Oliver. He was an orphan, with no memory of his parents and no family to call his own. Despite the challenges life had thrown at him, Oliver had a heart full of dreams and a spirit that refused to be broken. In the heart of Serenityville stood an orphanage, a place that became Oliver's home. Miss Johnson, the kind and caring woman who ran the orphanage, looked after him as if he were her own. She had a warmth about her that made every child feel loved and cherished. As Oliver grew older, he became more curious about his past. Late one night, unable to sleep, he approached Miss Johnson with questions about his parents. Miss Johnson, with a tender smile, decided it was time to share the story she had kept hidden for so long. Many years ago, Oliver's mother, Emily, had been a resident of Serenityville. She was a kind and gentle woman who, unfortunately, faced circumstances that made it challenging for her to care for her newborn son. With a heavy heart, she made the painful decision to place baby Oliver in the care of the orphanage, hoping he would have a better life. Miss Johnson, touched by Emily's selfless love for her son, had vowed to provide Oliver with all the love and care he deserved. Over the years, she had watched him grow, nurturing his dreams and comforting him in times of sorrow. As Miss Johnson shared the story, Oliver felt a mix of emotions. He was grateful to Miss Johnson for the love she had showered upon him, but a longing to know more about his birth mother lingered. Determined to help Oliver find closure, Miss Johnson and the orphanage staff initiated a search for Emily. It took time and effort, but eventually, they located her in a neighboring town. Emily, now a grown woman, had never forgotten her son but believed that he was in good hands. The reunion between Oliver and Emily was filled with tears, laughter, and the overwhelming joy of a mother finding her long-lost son. The bond that had been broken years ago was miraculously restored. In the end, Oliver found himself blessed with not one but two mothers. Miss Johnson continued to be the mother he had known all his life, and Emily became a new chapter in his journey. The two women, connected by their love for the same boy, embraced each other, knowing that they had played unique roles in shaping Oliver's life. In Serenityville, the story of Oliver's journey unfolded as a testament to the power of a mother's love, both the love that Miss Johnson had selflessly given him and the love that Emily had carried in her heart through the years. Together, they formed an unbreakable chain of love that wrapped around Oliver, reminding him that he was cherished beyond measure. The end. Story 72, Act of Kindness and Goodwill. In the bustling town of Harmonyville, there was a small bakery known for its delectable treats and the warm smile of its owner, Mrs. Thompson. One day, a stranger named Alex walked into the bakery with a heavy heart and a hungry stomach. Alex had fallen on tough times and was struggling to make ends meet. As he gazed at the array of pastries and bread, his financial worries loomed large. Mrs. Thompson, noticing the hesitation in his eyes, approached with a kind smile. "Welcome, what can I get for you today?" she asked cheerfully. Alex, reluctant to reveal his financial struggles, opted for a simple loaf of bread. As Mrs. Thompson handed it to him, she noticed the sadness in his eyes. Instead of sending him away with just a loaf of bread, she decided to perform an act of kindness. "Wait right here," she said, disappearing into the kitchen. Moments later, she returned with a bag filled not only with the loaf of bread but also an assortment of pastries and treats. "Consider this a little extra something. It's on the house," Mrs. Thompson said with a warm smile. Alex was taken aback by this unexpected act of kindness. Gratitude filled his heart as he thanked Mrs. Thompson for her generosity. With a newfound sense of hope, he left the bakery, carrying not only a bag of delicious treats but also the warmth of goodwill that Mrs. Thompson had bestowed upon him. Inspired by Mrs. Thompson's kindness, Alex decided to pay it forward. He found a local charity that supported those facing hardships and, with the little he had, made a donation to help others in need. Word spread through Harmonyville about Mrs. Thompson's act of kindness and how it had inspired Alex to do the same. The community began to rally together, organizing food drives and contributing to local charities. Mrs. Thompson's simple gesture had set off a chain reaction of goodwill and compassion. As time passed, Harmonyville became a town known not just for its delicious pastries but also for the kindness that flourished within its community. Acts of goodwill became a part of everyday life, creating a harmonious atmosphere where people looked out for one another. Mrs. Thompson's bakery became a symbol of kindness, a place where a simple act of generosity had sparked a movement of goodwill that spread throughout the town. In Harmonyville, the story of Mrs. Thompson's act of kindness was a reminder that even the smallest gestures could create a ripple effect of positivity and warmth in the hearts of those who experienced it. The end. Story 73, Student Learns of Greed. In the town of Maplewood, there was a diligent and eager student named Sarah who attended the local high school. Sarah was known for her curiosity and commitment to learning. One day, her history teacher, Mr. Anderson, decided to impart a valuable lesson that went beyond textbooks. Mr. Anderson wanted his students to understand the consequences of greed, so he assigned them a special project. Each student was given a small amount of money and instructed to use it wisely to benefit the community. The goal was to learn about cooperation, generosity, and the positive impact a small act of kindness could have. Excited about the project, Sarah brainstormed ideas on how to make the most significant impact. After careful consideration, she decided to start a community garden. She believed it would not only beautify the town but also provide fresh produce for those in need. Sarah approached local businesses, seeking donations of seeds, soil, and gardening tools. Surprisingly, many were willing to contribute, impressed by her dedication to the project. With the support of the community, Sarah's community garden began to take shape. However, as the project progressed, another student named Jake became envious of Sarah's success. Instead of focusing on his own project, he decided to sabotage Sarah's efforts to make his own project stand out. One evening, as Sarah was tending to the garden, Jake snuck in and stole some of the tools and seeds. Sarah was disheartened to find the damage the next day, but she refused to be discouraged. She rallied the community once again, explaining the setback, and they came together to replace what was lost. Sarah's resilience and the community's support only fueled Jake's jealousy. Instead of realizing the value of cooperation, he continued his attempts to undermine Sarah's project. As the deadline for the project approached, Mr. Anderson noticed the contrasting approaches of Sarah and Jake. During the presentations, Sarah spoke passionately about the community garden and the unity it had fostered. She showcased the positive impact it had on Maplewood, not just in terms of fresh produce, but also in bringing people together. On the other hand, Jake's project, while technically successful, lacked the genuine community involvement that Sarah's had. Mr. Anderson seized this opportunity to teach a profound lesson about the consequences of greed. In a discussion following the presentations, Mr. Anderson addressed the class. He commended Sarah for her resilience, generosity, and ability to turn setbacks into opportunities for unity. Then, he turned his attention to Jake, highlighting the negative consequences of his actions and the missed opportunity to create something truly meaningful. The story of Sarah and Jake became a lesson not just about community projects but also about the consequences of envy and the lasting impact of genuine, selfless efforts. In the end, Maplewood learned that success achieved at the expense of others is a hollow victory, and true fulfillment comes from working together for the benefit of all. The end.